What's up, movie lovers? Dave here, and welcome back to Hitchcock's Picks. Today, we're diving deep into Guillermo del Toro's brand new Frankenstein adaptation. We finally have a film worth sinking our teeth into, something we can really dissect together.
That is in God's hands. God. But death. Now there lies the challenge.
I mean, come on, it's Del Toro. We know we're in for a visual masterpiece, but this time, he's outdone himself with his storytelling too. If you've already seen it, you probably noticed how packed it is with symbolism. Today, we're gonna unpack what Del Toro was really trying to tell us by putting his own spine on this classic tale. And heads up, major spoilers ahead, so if you haven't watched it yet, you might want to pause here and come back later. So, Frankenstein is a fantasy film based on a novel written literally 200 years ago. And get this, that novel was written by an 18-year-old girl. Think about that for a second. Mary Shelley was just a teenager when she created what would become one of the first science fiction novels in literally history. 2 centuries later, and we're still making movies about her story. That's insane. The basic premise: a scientist named Victor Frankenstein becomes obsessed with creating human life. But when he succeeds, the result is a monster who ends up hating its own creator. Classic creator versus creation dynamic that's been haunting us for generations. Now, let's talk about the cast because, wow, Del Toro assembled an incredible team here. Oscar Isaac as Victor Frankenstein. Perfect casting. He's got that wild intensity in his eyes, but also the intelligence you'd expect from a brilliant scientist. He absolutely embodies the character. Then, we've got Jacob Elordi as the monster. Wait, isn't he too handsome to play the monster? And that's actually a brilliant choice by Del Toro that I'll come back to later. But physically, he's got the height and build that matches the book's description of this towering figure. Then, Mia Goth plays Elizabeth, and she's just mesmerizing. She's got this unique, almost outworldly quality that makes her perfect for the mysterious Elizabeth. And here's the most brilliant twist. She also plays Victor's mother. This isn't just some casting gimmick. Del Toro is using this to show us Victor's twisted obsession with his mother and how it screws up his entire life. See, Victor never really grows up. He's stuck in this childlike state, unable to move on. That's why we constantly see him drinking milk throughout the film. There are like 10 scenes where he's either drinking milk or there's a glass of milk sitting right there. It's Del Toro's way of showing us Victor's arrested development. And because Victor never emotionally matures, he's got these childish outbursts. He gets jealous and burns down a building, then immediately regrets it and risks his life to save the monster. It's this constant push and pull of immature emotions. But here's where it gets really interesting. All this tragedy, it starts with Victor's father. Check out the opening scene. Everything's in black and white, except for Victor's mother, who's dressed entirely in red. Right away, we know red symbolizes both Victor's mother and his obsession with her. Whenever Victor's associated with red in the film, it's showing how his mother's death continues to haunt him. And Victor's father, he's all in black and white too, with his hand symbol on his hat pointing to the sky. Back in Victorian times, this was a symbol used by religious and government officials to suggest their authority came from God. So Victor's father represents religious authority, but Victor himself is the complete opposite. No belief in God, no morals. He's getting, his research money from war profiteers, conducting experiments on dead soldiers without a shred of compassion, then tossing the remains aside like a garbage. For Victor, only science matters. Nothing else stands in the way of his goals. Because his father can't show him love, Victor never develops properly. Instead of looking to his father as a guide, he creates this imaginary angel in his mind and in his dreams, dressed in red, like his mother. This angel represents Victor's delusional thinking. And here's the kicker. When we first see this angel appear, it's when Victor declares he'll defeat death. But by the end of the film, when Victor causes Elizabeth's death, that angel metaphorically dies too. It's Victor's obsession that ultimately destroys him. Now, let's talk more about Elizabeth. Remember, same actress as the mother, but her costumes are the complete opposite, mostly blues and greens, inspired by insects. And insects are everywhere in this film. Victor buys a book about insect life. He's fascinated by butterflies. We see him playing with beetles. Elizabeth's blue dress, it's inspired by butterfly wings, and her green one, based on colorful beetle skins. And both Elizabeth and Victor's mother are always shown with sunlight. Whenever they're at the dinner table, sunlight's streaming directly into the camera lens. Elizabeth's connection to insects is crucial. She marvels at how from a dead, rotten plant, a new creature, a butterfly, is born. That's the cycle of life, death leading to new life, and the butterfly itself. It's a symbol of transformation reaching perfection. Elizabeth sees beauty in this cycle, while Victor, he wants to destroy it. He can't accept that he'll die and something new will come from his death. That's why they're constantly at odds. Now, if you're worried this is going to be a scary horror movie, let me put your mind at ease. This isn't a horror film. It's more of a gothic, mysterious kind of sci-fi film with action elements, psychological depth, and some serious philosophical themes. It's thought-provoking, not nightmare-inducing. And here's something fascinating. This movie has been getting love from both critics and audiences worldwide. It's pretty cool to think that Del Toro, when he was just 18 himself, dreamed of making his own version of Frankenstein. He believed anyone could interpret this incredible story in their own way, and that's exactly what he's done here. So, why did Del Toro make this film now? What did he add to, make it relevant for us in 2025, especially with all the AI and robot technology emerging around us? First off, let me tell you, this movie is visually stunning. I'm talking next level cinematography, lighting, set design, costumes. The play of light in this film is something to study. Del Toro pays attention to the logic of light in a way that's just masterful. Let me give you an example. There's this scene in a dining hall with large windows on the left side. The light is coming only from those windows, creating realistic shadows. There are no visible lamps in the room, so the light source feels completely illogical. Or this cave scene. They should be dark, but there's a hole in the ceiling letting light in. Every shot is, thoughtfully composed. You could literally study this film frame by frame and learn about visual storytelling. When Victor creates the monster, pay attention to how it's positioned, crucified like Christ, but on a cross made of mechanical parts. This isn't just a random choice. It's, deeply rooted in Del Toro's beliefs and connects to the original Frankenstein novel's message. Science is literally replacing God in this imagery. The set design in this film is mind-blowing. Notice Victor's gloves, for example, always red, symbolizing his psychological wounds. When he creates the monster, those red gloves make it look like his hands are covered in blood, as if he's giving birth. And in front of the monster, there is an image of Medusa carved into the wall. In mythology, as you know, Medusa was innocent but cursed by the gods, condemned to a state between life and death. Exactly like the monster in Del Toro's film. The monster is innocent but doomed to loneliness, feared by everyone, unable to die. It's a fate worse than death. The details on this film are incredible. Del Toro himself talked about how they made one of the monster's eyes bigger than the other. When they wanted to show love or peace, they'd reflect light in the bigger eye. When showing anger, they'd shoot from the side to emphasize the smaller eye. This visual distinction shows the monster's dual nature, both kinda dangerous and capable of forgiveness at the same time. Here's something fascinating as well. The first half of the film is told from Victor's perspective, where he portrays himself as this brilliant, gentlemanly scientist, really the victim of his own story. The monster appears pale and grotesque. But in the second half, when the monster tells his story, his appearance changes. More color, more human, more intelligent. Suddenly, Victor's the arrogant one and the monster becomes the real victim. It's a brilliant narrative shift that completely changes how we see these characters. Once the monster is born, the story enters this almost mystical phase that directly connects to the original Frankenstein novel. We've got a creator and a creation. It's essentially the story of man and God. The monster keeps asking, "Why did you create me? Why did you make me?" Victor becomes a false god, while Elizabeth represents the true divine, and the monster symbolizes all of humanity, created without a choice, rejected by its creator, wandering to find its purpose. The monster's journey mirrors Adam's expulsion from Eden. When we see him feeding deer in nature, it's directly inspired by paintings of Adam's fall. When he learns to read from Paradise Lost in the old man's house, that's not accidental. Paradise Lost is about Adam and Eve's fall from grace. These parallels are everywhere, showing us that the monster represents humanity. The blind old man who teaches the monster is crucial too, because he can't see. He doesn't judge the monster, he accepts him. He teaches the monster that forgiveness is the ultimate wisdom, which becomes so important by the end of the film. Now, you might be tempted to interpret this story as Victor playing God, creating man, then rejecting him, with the monster eventually becoming better than his creator, and finding peace only when God is dead. But that interpretation misses the mark. It contradicts both the original novel and Del Toro's own beliefs. Alright, see, the original Frankenstein novel was actually a critic of the Enlightenment era. After centuries of religious oppression, humanity decided to reject God and embrace science and literature. But the novel warns us that science without morality is just as dangerous as religious corruption. Victor represents those who want to play God without any ethical framework, and the result is tragedy, both for the monster and for Victor himself. The novel is actually much darker than the film. In the book, the monster finds Victor dead on a ship, weeps over his body, then chooses to die himself. It's incredibly, tragic, showing that science without morality leads to destruction, just like corrupted religion. But how does Del Toro make this 200-year-old story feel relevant to us today? What new things does he have to say? So here it is. Frankenstein is ultimately about reckless creation. It's about a scientist who creates life not to advance science, but out of this pure, almost obsessive desire to create. And then he abandons his creation, refusing to deal with the consequences. Sound familiar? Yeah, because we're doing the exact same thing with artificial intelligence right now. We are developing AI at breakneck speed without fully considering the consequences. Not because we're trying to advance science for science's sake, but out of this kind of lust for creation, for fame, for success, for challenging death itself, perhaps. We're creating these increasingly intelligent systems that might one day become smarter than us. And what happens then? Will they resent us, their creators? Will we fear them? Could there be a conflict between humans and AI with an uncertain outcome? If you pay attention, the monster in this film, especially in its early stages, is made up to look almost robotic. The texture of its skin resembles modern humanoid robots. Del Toro is definitely making a connection here to our current technological anxieties. And going back to Jacob Elordi's casting, why would Del Toro choose such a handsome actor to play the monster? Is it just height? No, definitely not. I think it's because he's making a deeper point. Maybe the monster isn't inherently monstrous. Maybe it's discovering its own humanity, and if the world had treated it with kindness, it could have become something beautiful. Del Toro is using external beauty as a metaphor for inner beauty. It's actually genius when you think about it. So, who represents God in Del Toro's film? To understand that, we need to look at Del Toro's own beliefs, which is incorporated through Elizabeth. When Elizabeth reaches out to touch the monster's hand, recreating Michelangelo's The Creation painting, we realize Elizabeth represents the divine. Del Toro was raised in a strict Catholic household, but became disillusioned with religion, haunted by nightmares of hell. He found more humanity in the monsters he read about than in the God the church taught him. But at age 33, something happened that changed his perspective. His father was kidnapped by mafia groups, and James Cameron, yes, the Titanic director, paid the ransom to free him. This act of pure human compassion made Del Toro question his atheism. He developed this idea of being a faithful unbeliever, not tied to any religion, but believing in a God that exists among us when humans show empathy to each other. That's exactly what Elizabeth represents in the film: divine empathy. She carries Christian symbols but has left the convent, just as Del Toro left Christianity. Whenever Elizabeth disappears from the story, bad things happen. Victor and his uncle plan to, reanimate dead bodies. The monster is created. Buildings explode. Elizabeth's presence prevents tragedy. Alright, fair warning, if you haven't seen the movie yet and hate spoilers, you might want to pause here and come back after you have watched it, because from this point on, I'm getting into some spoiler treachery. One issue I had with the film was Elizabeth's death scene. It felt a bit cliche to me, just standing there getting shot, and that's it. In a film as innovative as this, that moment felt surprisingly old-fashioned. And while Del Toro was trying to make Elizabeth a more active character rather than a passive one, I found her arc a bit confusing. Her connection to the monster, falling in love with him, I couldn't quite connect that to the story's internal logic. When Victor kills Elizabeth, wearing white, symbolizing innocence, her clothes turn red, becoming the same color as his mother's. Victor has become the monster he never wanted to be, repeating his father's sins. He's become the real monster of the story now. Another theme Del Toro explores is the tension between will and fate. How much control do we really have over our lives? There's this part where he talks about how wolves don't expand out of hatred, or hunters don't kill wolves out of hatred. These things, just happen as if they're meant to. It's like he's suggesting we don't have complete control over our lives. Existence brings death, and death gives meaning to existence. You can't have one without the other. Alright, Elizabeth's death sends both Victor and the monster chasing each other to the horizon, a symbolic endpoint. The ship frozen in ice is named Horizon, and the monster goes beyond it to meet his god. When they finally meet, 2 years after Victor's expulsion from university, the creator and creation face each other. But they're fundamentally different. Victor never had a proper father figure, while the monster was guided by the wise old man who taught him forgiveness. The monster was born from unexpressed love combined with anger and ambition, Victor's creation. But the monster forgives Victor, calling him son, and Victor dies in peace. The monster can forgive because he first accepts himself. In the end, Del Toro reverses the God-man equation. The creation becomes better than the creator, capable of love. For the first time, the monster experiences peace, standing in sunlight, which always symbolized motherly love in the film, something Victor never truly experienced. The monster accepts his flawed existence with all its suffering, and that acceptance brings him peace. By the end, the film brings up forgiveness and suffering. The monster forgives its creator. It suggests that even when life is, forced upon us, we should love ourselves, forgive others, and live on. When the film ends, a poem appears. So the heart will break, but it will still beat. Life is full of suffering, but we are condemned to choose life anyway. The monster finds peace by understanding what Elizabeth tried to teach Victor, that we're part of the cycle of life and shouldn't fear death. Like the butterfly with its short life, the monster accepts his condition and finds beauty in it. Remember when Victor was, discussing butterflies with Elizabeth? He couldn't understand what she meant. He only saw a biological specimen looking at the world with, soulless science. That's why he thought he could create life by stitching together body parts. But Elizabeth knew that life means transformation from caterpillar to butterfly. That's the real meaning of life, something you can never create from dead parts. And that's Del Toro's ultimate message. The real hell is created by those who can't express love, like Victor's father. God exists among us when humans show empathy and kindness to each other. The original novel conveyed this through tragedy, but Del Toro's film gives us a more hopeful vision, where acceptance and forgiveness can bring peace. In the novel's ending, after Victor dies, the captain finds the monster weeping over his body, saying, "I never wanted to do evil, but I was driven to revenge by being rejected and lonely. I wanted to be loved, but saw nothing but hatred from the world." It's, heartbreaking. The monster wasn't loved, and that created all the tragedy. This experience changes the captain, who abandons his own ambition to play God. Del Toro's Frankenstein is so much more than a monster movie. It's a profound meditation on creation, responsibility, love, and what it means to be human. The symbolism is rich, the performances are stellar, and the visuals are absolutely stunning. What did you think of Del Toro's Frankenstein? Did you catch these symbols and themes? What's your interpretation? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and talk to you in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Del Toro's Frankenstein, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Hitchcock Speaks for more film analysis. We break down the movies that make you think. Thanks for watching.